when I've been in scenarios and I've had troops that died, troops that I've trained that died overseas, that gets tough. But that part, even being retired 3 years, is still tough. It's hard to talk about sometimes, so I can only imagine, like, my father. My dad had served 21 years, a Vietnam veteran. Never really liked to talk about it, so I really could never relate to him. So that was one way I can get back to him, connect with him, is to go join the military myself and get my own experiences and communicate and connect with him through experiences that way. He actually finds peace around Veterans Day, Memorial Day and Veterans Day. It's only been the last couple of years that he's starting to open up to me, to say, hey, son, this is what I was able to see, and this is what I did, and this is what I lost. And as I was growing up in the military, Veterans Day was that day where I can just sit back and call any of my comrades or call my family members that were prior military and just say thanks for serving. So, yeah, it's a great day. I got core values. I was able to learn more about myself. I was able to learn how to work with people, good, bad, or indifferent, and how to adjust to situations very quickly. So those are some of my big takeaways. You know, besides the obvious stuff like educational benefits and health benefits and things of that nature. But if I had to do it all over again, I would do it in a second.
I remember, standing looking over the ship, and I could see these dolphins. And all I could think of was, hey, I'm going home. I did my job. Pretty much been halfway around the world, and it's been an experience. Being in the Marine Corps for 6 years, yes, it has. There's some good times and some bad times, but that's part of what a veteran goes through, doing active duty. And but I'm just proud to be a veteran and be back in school, and want to go into drug alcohol counseling, helping the homeless, helping veterans, PTSD, people who are struggling within society, in the community, and I've pretty much have experienced a lot of that myself, and I want to give something back. When I first got back, it took me a couple of years to realize that it's completely a different thing when you're back in the civilian world. So it was like family, because that's all we have out there when you're out there.
September 11th happened, and I worked in a restaurant, and I was a student at that time in a junior college, and I was just kind of paralyzed by seeing what I saw on the TV. And I went to a recruiter the next day, and I signed up for the Marine Corps, and I picked the Marine Corps because people didn't think that I could do it. When people tell me I can't do something, I kind of want to do it more. Everything that I learned in the military, I definitely use in my day-to-day life. I would say that being in the Marine Corps was a lot easier than being a stay-at-home mom. That was pretty much my hardest adventure so far. It takes a lot, and I think it's made me a better person that I am today. I've gained a lot from being in the military. Once a Marine, always a Marine, so I've never really left. And the family of the Marine Corps continues even when you're not in active duty, so it's great. I really want to work at the VA hospitals, kind of going to be my outcome. So I'm going into the pre-nursing program. I really want to give back to the vets who have done so much for us. The biggest thing I've taken away from being in the military is just to appreciate what we have. And I am so grateful for everything, from the ground we walk on, to the fresh air that we breathe, to the freedoms that we have. And I think we all take it for granted, and we are just so grateful. I mean, even to this day, the national anthem, I cry. I can't help but to cry, because it means more than just a song.
I always had a passion to join the military since I was probably 14, 15 years old. I always had this sense of duty that I had to fulfill to this nation. I felt like, we live in a great nation and we have a lot of things handed to us. And I felt like I really needed to give back to something so I could feel more self-worth and, giving something to a cause that's greater than myself. So I joined U.S. Army Infantry. I wanted to go to war and do all that. So I got what I signed up for, right off the bat. And luckily I'm alive today to tell the tale. You learn to appreciate the little things in life. You learn to not take life for granted at all. You learn to show love to your family that you may, family members that you may have not showed enough to in the past. I think the best part of being in the military was feeling the sense of purpose that you had, and feeling that you were obligated to fulfill this purpose, regardless of what you had to do to fulfill it. You have a duty to not only this country, but more importantly, the men right next to you. I'm the first member of my family to join the Army Infantry. That's immediate family, that's distant relatives. There's no one that has seen any combat in my family. So it's a very unique and new experience for all my family members to experience as well. PTSD is a real thing, and now this country is starting to realize it, I believe, but we're nowhere near where we have to be. And a lot of vets come out of the service and they don't have a family or close friends to help them through these tough situations. And having a family, for me, has helped keep me grounded. It helps keep me, motivated to get up in the morning, to go to bed at night. So I'm a full-time student, but I take all of my classes online for the moment. It's good that I can be at home with them while still going to school and, going forward, in life. And Yavapai College is fantastic with their veterans. They have the program, Veterans Upward Bound, that helps veterans transition from their active life, active duty, to civilian life.
Well, after 9/11 had happened, I volunteered to go back in the Army and went back into the Army in 2005 and 6 and served in Afghanistan. It was over 30 years. If you consider the time I was a cadet, I was in uniform since 1965 to 2006, on and off. One of the most memorable times I have was when I was in Afghanistan. I just come back from R&R, which is Western Recreation. You get a couple weeks off. And everybody was lining the roadway. And so we went out, lined the roadway with them to see what was going on. Down the road, going out to the airfield, was a Humvee with a single light shining into the back. And in the back of that Humvee was a coffin with a flag on it draped over the coffin. And the escort was sitting by the coffin in the back. And it slowly transferred down the road past all the soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines that were there, all of us standing in attention and saluting as it went by. That young soldier was going home. That was a very memorable moment for me. And it made me feel very proud of that young soldier, that he, knowing, that can happen at any moment. But everyone was a band of brothers and sisters out there on that roadway. And that's the memory I have of the military. It's a band of brothers and sisters.
I'm not a veteran myself, but I come from a military background. My dad was in the Army during the Vietnam War. We got him through some tough stuff, and now I'm here in Prescott making some roots and helping other veterans here in our community. A lot of our veterans who were in Afghanistan and Iraq came right out of high school, such as my brother. He graduated high school, and 2-3 months later he's in boot camp to be a Marine, going through the crucible, and now he will be about 21. He's already 3 years in, and these, for lack of a better word, kids exit their service. They separate from the military after 4-6 years, and they're still in their young 20s. It definitely gave me that motivation to honor and respect what they did, and also their families did. As a family member who's both as an active duty soldier, Marine, airman, sailor, but also as a veteran, you as the family members, have to deal with some consequences to the service as well. Seeing how other citizens of other countries live, especially as a woman, the opportunities that are available to me living here, not taking that for granted and respecting and appreciating that every single day. For me personally, it's more of a spiritual day, and definitely take some time to respect and also atone myself for what I may have taken for granted in the past, and just put it into perspective and kind of give myself a gut check. Christyn, you live in a pretty great country, you have a great life. Not everyone in the world has this, and there's some people that gave the ultimate for it. So it was huge growing up.